I'm getting ready to apply Venetian plaster to this range hood that I built. You can check out some of my other videos on how I built this using a kit from Archways and Ceilings, but now you've jumped into where we are getting ready to finally put on the finishing coat. And we're going to be using a Venetian plaster from Thermalux. I've gotten it tinted in the shade of my walls, which is Greek Villa. This is pre-made up, ready to use. I did a lot of, kind of researching, and people kept recommending this one. It was easy and fast to get, if I can get it open. So let's go ahead and get started. And this is the first time I've done this. So you and I might be learning along the way. They've put a sample on the top of it. So the Venetian plaster is going to have a very coarse texture to give it this stone type look.
Don't forget to prep your drywall with a primer coat.
I'm going to be just using a trowel to apply it, using a mixture of tighter angles and wider ones. So first thing that we're going to do is apply just kind of the skim coat. So put it on and make sure we just have a thin layer to serve as a nice base. I've got just a small amount on my trowel. And we're going to start by just kind of putting it on there and then scraping it off.
As I mentioned earlier in the video, this was my first time ever working with Venetian plaster. A lot of the videos that I watched prior to applying it suggested that you go in opposite directions when applying the plaster so that nothing looks too patterned. So I'd go one direction and then switch to my trowel the other direction. And I just did this over and over again until I liked the way it was looking and I had a good skim coat on. Here's what the skim coat looked like. The portions that are lighter is where it started to dry in the color that I had it tinted, which again is Greek Villa. Applying the plaster to the core bells is a little bit trickier, so instead of using a large trowel, I just came in with a small putty knife and just worked into the crevices, and again doing the same thing where I didn't do the same pattern but just a little back and forth and flip it back over.
So I've gone ahead and I put on the initial layer of the Venetian plaster. I've let it dry for about an hour now. So now that we've got this good skim coat on, I'm gonna go back and do the same exact thing with the trowel, but however, we're gonna do a little bit of a technique that gives it more of that kind of textured vibe. It's called skipping. And again, I'm gonna push it down, but I'm going to skip it a bit. Not like that. Dry overnight. The color is beautiful. It matches the walls perfectly. So again, using this particular Thermalux, you can tint it to any color that you want. So I'm super pleased with how it's turning out. Now, it's very rough to the touch. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna buff it out. I'm just gonna do it by hand using this round 220 grit. You can use like a square sand hander, but I just find it easy to put this on my palm and go around. So we're gonna buff it so that it's just smooth to the touch, because right now it's got a really rocky, edgy feel. So I'm just gonna do that by hand, and let's get started. This is just something that I've always envisioned. I'm so happy with how it turned out. It's almost done, and the thing that I'm trying to decide is if I add a little wood element or not. Our house has a lot of wood. We have some beams like this, so I thought it would tie it in. The reason that I'm hesitant on doing that is because we're not done remodeling the kitchen. You'll see this wall behind me is pretty blank and bare. So right now I'm deciding if I'm going to replace these countertops. They're actually not a real stone. The previous owners put in just almost a prefabricated top. So I was thinking about replacing these with a quartz or marble and then doing a backsplash all the way up here. So I don't know if I should add this first or if I should wait until the room is done. Tell me what you think. Should I leave this wood here? Should I not do it? It adds a little something, but again, until I know exactly how we're finishing the backsplash, I'm on the fence about adding it. But yeah, thanks for being here.